I've been playing Elden Ring way too much.
Elden Ring's launch has been one of the most successful ones in history, and fans everywhere can't put it down. Save me, please. As a result, I've made tons of builds and used tons of weapons, explored places when I really shouldn't. I literally got to the City of Light before beating the second boss. So I decided to make a tier list of the best early game weapons that you should absolutely dedicate hours of your life to adding to your collection. Let's do this. Now before we compare them, I'll have another video coming out with the locations of these weapons and the builds they complement, so look out for that. Here are our contestants. In the Delinquents of the best tier, or D tier, we have Cypherpata and the Demi-Human Queen Staff. Now please guys, this does not mean that these are bad weapons. The Delinquents simply mean that in comparison to the other insane tiers, these are the lowest on the list. So yeah, disclaimer aside, both of these weapons are very good, but they're outshone by their alternatives. The Cypherpata doesn't really have a fist competitor for a faith build, but the other weapons you could use instead of a fist are simply better. Demi-Human Staff is beat by far, with the Meteorite Staff being so easily accessible at the start of the game. The next tier, Cool Steel, really only has one member in the Lazuli Glintstone Sword. It's a straight sword, having a Glintstone Pebble as a skill, which makes it pretty good, so Prisoner can have its range weapon, but as with the other tier, it gets outshone. In the B corner, Brother's Arms not in, we have the Twin Blade, Dragon Communion Seal, and Carrion Knight's Sword. Twin Blade was considered the best early game weapon initially, until people went beyond Limgrave like the madmen they are. I totally didn't.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Anyways, the seal is fine, but really beneficial only for Dragon Priests, so it gets slotted here. The Knight's Sword really has no downside as its effect is insane, but as with other weapons, there are better alternatives. Next up, actually insane tier, with weapons that are so good that you can't pass up on them. In this tier, we'll put Meteoric Oreblade, Winged Scythe, and the Bloodhound's Fang. I would like to reiterate, these are the best weapons of their category from early to mid game, maybe even late game, but the tier list is just pitting them against each other. These weapons have no real downside, but the effects of the S tier weaponry are so insane that it would be unfair to have them share a tier. Finally, in the superbly broken tier, we have Moonveil, Meteorite Staff, Raduvia, and the Sword of Night and Flame. If you've noticed, the katanas are both top tier, and the game at this point is Elden Katana due to how broken they are. Moonveil is a magic katana, and its effect can release a horizontal or vertical slash depending on your input. This does insane damage and can even pass through some objects. This katana will literally be good until endgame, where you can choose to change it, or spam gets a good tension until the final boss dies. The Meteorite Staff outclasses basically every other staff in the game with its absurd S tier intelligence scaling, which simply means that it does far more damage in its base level than other staffs. It also boosts gravity spell damage and coincidentally has the gravity spell Rock Sling nearby its location, which is also an insane spell. Radoof is the best dagger in the game hands down and has an awesome bleed affinity that can do huge percentages of damage to bosses in a short time. Its skill also gives some range as it sends out a blood blade, so that's insane as well. Now we have the most hands down most insane OP weapon in the early game by far. Not even the Meteorite Staff has anything on this. The Sword of Night and Flame is an insane weapon that scales with Int and Faith on its skill, which has two versions. One a beam like Comet Azure, I think it actually is Comet Azure, and the other a flaming slash, like the flaming slash Art of War, Ash of War. This weapon is found in Carrion Manor, and my upcoming video will show how to get it as well without even fighting. I think it's best used on a Confessor due to it not needing to spec into Strength or Dex, and it also has high Fate stat, which makes it require less runes for this weapon to be usable. I chose to use a Wretch because they start at level 1 and I can fully spec into all the stats I need, 12 Strength, 12 Dex, 24 Int, 24 Faith. So that was pretty easy for me to do, except, of course with Wretch, life is harder. But that was the tier list. Let me know what you thought about the placements. Should something be moved? Is there an OP weapon that I missed? Share your thoughts and I'll respond when I can. Here are some honorable mentions in the Carrion Greatsword and Loretta's Great Bow. They're not actually weapons, they're spells, but they're actually insane as well. See you in the next one.